He said, whoa, let me at him.
So since we are headed to my barn this morning, I thought I would talk a little about Ryder's training progress since we haven't done a video on him. It's been a while. We've only shown like a few clips, but we haven't really done any major updates for you guys. I will talk and then Barrett will insert some clips here so you guys can kind of see from the beginning to where we are now. It's been over a year since we've owned Ryder, which is crazy hard to believe because I feel like it was literally just yesterday we were picking him up from the barn. And last year in June is when I made the decision to move him to the training barn because at the time we were living at the ranch and the heat down there was just too much for him. So he's been in official dressage training under my trainer's guidance and myself obviously for a year now. So in the last year, he's come, that sounds like such a cliche, he's come literally such a long way, more so than I think Barrett and I ever really expected. The more we've chiseled away at his training, the more we've found that he's really good at dressage, and he has a lot of natural talent for what I'm asking him to do. So it's taken us about 6 or so months for him to truly understand the idea of contact, meaning the leg to hand communication. He can still get a little bracy and duck behind the vertical because that's the way that he was trained previously. They had no real concept of true, correct contact. So he can still get a little unsteady in the bridle, but otherwise he's really, really learning how to carry himself. His body has completely changed from when we first purchased him. He's built muscle through the top line, through his butt, through his neck, and it even looks like he's more level now that he's kind of bulked up in his neck. And in the regards to the training, the left lead canter has always been a major struggle for us. It's been his weaker side since we purchased him, but now he's really giving me a place to sit, and he still has his moments where he wants to really pull, embrace and get a little defensive in the contact, but we just stay strong with our half halts, and he eventually does understand. It takes about 10 minutes for him in the left lead canter for that light bulb to click on, and then he's like, oh, okay, I'll be light and won't yank you forward. Clean and not sweaty.
I pulled him out of his stall and he had like sweat on his legs. Poor guy.
Just an absolutely beautiful morning here in Texas. The arena is freshly drugged. That arena outside is freshly drugged. And it's not too hot, it's not too cool. Everything is just about perfect. So a while back, somebody had posted a comment. I don't remember if it was on Instagram or here on YouTube, but they asked, why do horses cost so much? Let me explain. The question, as old as time, why are horses so expensive?
It's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. But it's a fairly simple question, but it is a loaded question. For instance, this horse expensive to buy, but that's a one-time cost. What is the expensive part about horses is all of the little costs that are associated with upkeep and feeding these horses and taking good care of them. That is the expensive part.
Go grab the detangler from my pink grooming box, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I need to get some more of that.
So, do you see all of these shavings that she is getting off of Ryder? All of these shavings are expensive. They're a normal monthly expense. Look, all this stuff that is in his hair, these come from the shavings that are in his stall, and they're about $6 a bag right now. And if you go into one of these stalls, I would bet there's probably 5 bags of shavings in each stall. So that's $30. There's a pretty big expense. That beautiful box in the tack room full of grooming supplies and vet supplies and, you know, detangler and fly spray and brushes and combs. There's an expense.
I said, and then for the horse to live at this stunning facility.
This facility is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you're talking, you know, a couple $1 million facility. This is definitely a monthly expense. Beautiful indoor arena, beautiful outdoor jumping arena. I don't know how many stalls. I don't actually know how many stalls are at this facility. Now, if you're gonna have a horse, you've got to have all the gear. You've got to have boots for you. You got to have boots for your horse. You got to have saddle pad or saddle pads. You got to have a saddle. You need to have a bridle and bits and reins. Yeah, those things can add up too. And if you're like me, you only have one of everything. If you're like my beautiful wife, you have multiples. How many saddle pads do you think you have?
I'm embarrassed.
Why?
Maybe 15. You have options.
We're just talking about it with Maddie's trainer. The next thing you have to think about is getting your horse shod, right? Getting all their feet trimmed, getting their shoes put on. Typically that can be anywhere from like $120 a horse to $250, sometimes even $300, depending on the farrier, depending on where you're located, depending on where the market is for farriers in your area. So that's done typically every 6 weeks. Some people stretch it out a little bit further to like 8 weeks, but typically that is an expense every 6 weeks that you're gonna have to manage. So the next thing you're gonna have to think about is if you're gonna have a horse, you need to have a way to get it somewhere. So you're gonna have to buy a trailer. And then if you buy a trailer, you're gonna have to buy a truck to pull that trailer. Those are two very firm things that you're definitely gonna have to have. They don't have to be fancy, they don't have to be anything crazy, but if you're gonna have a horse, you need a way to transport it, especially in emergency scenarios.
I won't bitch about heat anymore.
Yeah, might as well.
It's an exercising facility.
Yeah, and if you see some sweat, that's because it's really hot. Even though it is definitely cooler in this indoor arena, it's still pretty warm. And at this barn, we like to use positive reinforcement. you know, by far the biggest expense on a month-to-month basis is going to be boarding your horse. If you don't have a barn at your house or a pasture or anywhere to keep them, board is going to run you anywhere from $500 to $2,000 per horse per month. After that, it's going to be feed. You obviously have to feed no matter what, no matter if you have your horse at your home. So those two are the biggest expenses for Maddie and I. Have we talked about the vet yet? If you're gonna own a horse, one expense is gonna be the vet. So become friends with your vet. They're gonna need their teeth floated at times. They're gonna cut themselves. They're gonna injure themselves. They're gonna need their coggins. They're gonna need their shots on an annual basis. So vet bills, not a major expense, but it's on the list.